This is the I Heart My Life show. It's Emily here, and this is the 350th episode of the I Heart My Life show, which is absolutely incredible. Super grateful for all of you who have been listeners for the last 8 or so years, for all these episodes. Really, really just honored to have you in our community and to have you as a listener of the show. If you haven't yet followed the show, please take a second and follow it. It truly does help us. And if you know of anyone who might like this show, definitely send it their way. So today's episode is all about money blocks. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart because the truth is, when I first started my business, when I started out in the world of personal development, I had no idea that I had money blocks. I didn't know what the phrase money story actually was. I didn't know that money mindset was a thing, despite having gone through 4 years of psychology as an undergrad student and being immersed somewhat so in the world of personal development growing up because of my dad. I didn't know anything about this topic. It wasn't until I started my business and came up against a lot of roadblocks around money and sales conversations that my coach started to support me with really transforming all the money blocks and the stories that were essentially controlling my life, running the show, and keeping me from the abundance that I wanted to create. So today, if you feel like you have tried all the strategies or you've just been coming up against roadblock after roadblock when it comes to creating more wealth and financial security and abundance in your life, it's really important that you look at what's going on beneath the surface and not just focus on the next strategy or the thing that everyone else is doing. You have to actually get to the root of what's really coming up for you and what might be holding you back. And so that's what today's episode is all about. So when I was back in the day in 2014, when I was building my business, one of the things that I uncovered personally was that I wanted to avoid talking about money at all costs. I didn't want people to feel like I was prying on sales calls. I didn't even want to ask them, do you have the financial means to do this? Most of the time I was met with the excuse that they didn't have the money anyway. And so the conversation kind of ended right then and there. And so for a period of time, I found myself hearing no after no after no. And ultimately it added up to 54 no's in a row. So 54 people said no to working with me. And one of my good friends recently shared with me that she often thinks about that story. She's building her own business and she's worried about hearing no after no. She's worried about putting herself out there, about getting on these sales conversations. And, rightly so. Most of us aren't taught how to sell. We aren't taught that it's okay to talk about money. We aren't taught how to move past our own money mindset limiting beliefs. And so today's episode is going to teach you how to do that. And also, first and foremost, show you how to identify the blocks that are currently holding you back. So we've actually developed a quiz, which is really, really powerful and super easy to do. It takes about 90 seconds. If you go to iheartmylife.com/money-quiz, you can take the quiz for yourself. You can do it right now, or you can wait until the episode is over. And it'll help you identify which one of the 6 archetypes you are when it comes to your money blocks. Again, most people don't know they have money blocks. Most people don't even know how to identify them, let alone transform them. And so this quiz will definitely help you. And today I'm also going to go through the 6 archetypes so you can kind of self-select and figure out where you fall, and also, like I said, how to transform. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the 6 archetypes. So the first one that I see amongst women that I work with, and again, I've worked with thousands of women around the world over the last 11 years, and most people have at least one of these, if not multiple. Even if you're successful, there's stuff that comes up, and we always need to be evaluating where our mindset is if we want to go to the next level. So the first one is the scarcity beliefs. So this essentially is a pattern rooted in the belief that there's never enough. So money is scarce, money is hard to come by, money doesn't grow on trees. Especially right now with the current economic climate, this might be something that's running rampant for you. Maybe it's been exaggerated because of everything going on with the economy, the political climate. And right now you're truly feeling like there's never enough. Okay. Now, this I want to explain this in a different way for those of you who, again, are new to this topic. It's similar to if you had a belief system that was running the show around relationships. So if you believe that there's no partner out there for you, there's no one who's going to fit your needs, be the right person for you, well, then that's going to be your reality. You're always going to find something wrong with everyone you date, right? Because you're literally looking for it. You're looking through the lens of there's not enough or there's not a person out there for me and I'm not going to find them. And so ultimately you end up staying single, right? It's kind of like on Friends where Chandler finds something wrong with every single person he dates and eventually dates Rachel's boss and doesn't like how she has mascara goop in the inner part of her eye. He's always going to find something wrong with somebody. Okay. And so maybe that's how you're showing up when it comes to money. Maybe you're even, making money and then literally the next minute, next hour, next day, you're thinking, oh my gosh, but there's not enough, right? You make money and then you spend it just as quickly. And so you tend to stay in that pattern of not enoughness. Now, this again is very detrimental for the person that does want to create financial abundance because constantly you're worried about running out of money. You feel anxious even when things are going well. And this might be this pattern that you're consistently recreating in your life. And you know, as well as I do, we don't want to wake up with dread and anxiety on a regular basis, especially when it comes to money. But if you're stuck in this scarcity belief, in this place of thinking that there's not enough, then that's going to be the thought process that tends to dominate your life. And it's very hard to be creative from that space. It's very hard to make decisions that are based on desire when your tendency is to look at, okay, well, what could go wrong? Or there's not enough, right? You're very focused on the fear versus the desire. And so then you end up making rash decisions or decisions that aren't in support of your big vision. I see this with a lot of entrepreneurs. So instead of investing in something that's going to help their business move forward or invest in something that will help their life transform, they're stuck in that belief of scarcity. And so they're holding on to money very tightly and they're not willing to let it circulate. Okay. So maybe this is you and you resonate with this. Again, we're going to talk about how to transform in just a little bit. I want to run through the 6 different archetypes, but just kind of self select and see if this is something that's coming up for you. And again, this is not about making yourself wrong. A lot of us were not taught that we had this whole system running the show. We didn't know about money mindset. We didn't know about limiting beliefs. And most of the time, our story, our money story is set when we're children based on what our parents teach us about money or what society teaches us about money. And so it's not your fault. Okay. That doesn't mean that we go and blame everyone else. We need to take personal responsibility. But this is stuff that most likely you were taught based on your parents' view of life and finances and money, or maybe your grandparents and the era and the decade that you grew up in, what was going on in the world at the time. And now you brought this into your adulthood, into your life, into your business, into your family, and it's running the show, so to speak. Okay. So let's go on to the second archetype, which is the hard work wound. So I really see myself in all of these, to be honest. Like I've had moments where I'm in all of them. The second one is a big one for me. It's basically that you have to work hard for every penny. Money is hard to come by, so you always have to have, blood, sweat, and tears in order to create that financial success. Need to be working at all hours. Burnout is probably a huge part of the equation for you. Maybe for you, it almost feels like you can never give enough, right? You're always going above and beyond for your clients. You're working all hours. You're doing everything. It's really important for you to do as much as possible. It's hard for you to outsource things. And basically, this archetype believes that money can only come through struggle and relentless effort. Okay. So again, raise hand if this is you. So you equate worth with productivity and you find it really hard to rest without guilt. You might also have the belief that ease and abundance cannot coexist. So you might hear people talking about manifesting and creating abundance and success with ease and flow. And you might think that sounds like complete BS. And you just can't relate to that because in your experience and maybe in what you were taught, money only comes when you work really hard for it and you have to earn it. Okay. Now, I'm not here to say that you're not going to create the abundance and success you want through hard work. Okay. I know that when you're building something, especially as a business owner, or you're putting in a lot of hours towards your career, it takes that dedication and it does take time. Of course it does. But you need to look at the energy behind the hard work. Are you doing it because you enjoy what you're doing and you want to put in the effort? Are you doing it because you're in fear around not working hard and you don't see that it's possible to have more ease and flow, or that there is a whole nother, entity out there, whether it's God, the universe, the creator, energy, whatever it is, that's also in support of your vision. The hard work wound person also often feels like it's all on them. The weight of the world is on their shoulders, and they feel like they have to be showing up in order to get their results. So passive income is very challenging for a hard work person. Even if they've achieved that, they think, oh my gosh, it will take forever for me to get there. Or it took forever for me to get there, or it's a lot of hard work and hours. And oftentimes, again, I know this because I am this person, they wear hard work like a badge of honor. So you want to tell people how hard you've worked, how much effort you've put in, how much time you've put in. I know even recently I caught myself texting somebody I was going to be having a call with, and I was like, oh, can we move the call? I did this, this, and this, and this, and this today. And I'm just a little bit exhausted, right? Like I didn't need to tell this person everything that I did, but there's something ingrained in me that wears hard work like a badge of honor. And so resting and that idea of something passive or ease and flow is something that's still a work in progress for me. All right, the third archetype is the avoidance pattern. So maybe right now you're avoiding your bank account, you don't even want to look at it. Maybe you don't want to talk about money. Again, this is one of those things that came up for me at the beginning of my business when I was doing sales calls. People would tell me, "Oh, Emily, I really want to work with you, but I don't have the money." And then the call would basically end at that point. And what my coach at the time helped me to identify was that I wanted to avoid talking about money because I was taught not to talk about money. And I was taught that it's rude to try and pry into someone's financial situation. But what I started to shift when I was on these calls was the fear of talking about money, but also feeling guilty or shameful bringing it up. And so I started to really go deep with people on the calls and look at their situation with an abundance mindset. So let me explain that a little bit further. When I was first doing the sales calls, I would hear people's money story, hear people telling me they didn't have the money, hear all the excuses in the book why they couldn't move forward with something, and I believed them. But what I shifted was that belief. I changed it to curiosity and a belief that was the complete opposite. I actually believed that everyone had the money, that people had the resources in their corner, in their back pocket to be able to make this happen. There was just something that was blocking them or holding them back from going to the next level and taking that step. And it was my job and my duty to help them uncover what that was. So I hope you can see, even in just that short explanation, that that's a very different energy and mindset. When you come at it with judgment or even, belief that what someone is telling you is true, then the opportunity to get creative and help them find the money or look at things in a different way, or even the creativity to take the next step so that they can get the result they want is gone. You've just bought into their story. And so I had to take a look at, what is my story first? And then how can I start to shift that so that I can further support people who I'm chatting with on these calls, who I'm connecting with, whatever it may be, in coaching sessions or the potential of coaching sessions, so I can further support them. Okay. And so because I was so in avoidance when I first started, there was no way that I was going to have these conversations. So I had to shift that very quickly. And so one of the things that I started to do was ask people straight up, okay, you're telling me you don't have the money. Do you want me to help you find the money? Simple question. And literally no one said no to that, because who would? And what that did was it helped me to support them in seeing what was really going on beneath the surface. So oftentimes it was a worth issue. They didn't trust themselves enough to follow through and actually get the results that the program was telling them they could get. In the example of someone starting a business, sometimes people were worried about being visible and what it would mean for them in their life if they started a business, if they did something different. And so they were literally using the money as an excuse. A lot of people actually did have the money, but they were afraid to spend it on the thing that meant that they had to do something different in their life. And maybe you've actually used money as an excuse yourself. I know that sometimes I speak to moms. I'm a mom myself, and so this is no judgment, but oftentimes moms use time as an excuse. Okay. Now, again, moms are busy. Everyone's busy, but we could all find the time to do the thing that we want to do. It might mean not watching Netflix for an hour every single day. It might mean hiring a babysitter. It might mean asking for support in other areas around the house. But we can find the time for the thing that we want. And the same is true for money. Now, you might be listening to this and think that I'm absolutely crazy, and that's okay. You can think that. But I truly do believe that we all can find the money for the things that we want. Very rarely is it actually about the money. There's normally something else that's going on beneath the surface that's running the show. That is, the fear, it's the block around receiving, it's the I'm not worthy, it's the what are people going to think. And so that fear comes up and it reveals itself through this money block. Okay. And we use the money block as the reason for us to not do something. We say, oh, I don't have the money. Okay. Or it's too expensive or whatever it is. And so, what I like to do on conversations with people is just ask them, if you did have the money, would this be a yes for you? And if it would be a yes, great. Okay. Let's talk about that. If it would be a no, even if you had the money, then let's explore it. Why is this not aligned for you? Maybe it's just not the right fit. That's okay too. But again, oftentimes there's something else going on beneath the surface, and we use the money piece to as the reason, right? It's masked as the actual reason. And so if you're currently avoiding money, coming back to the archetype, the avoidance pattern, then you have to ask yourself, why is that? What is it that's coming up for you? So this one's all about disconnecting from money, ignoring bills, avoiding bank statements. You don't want to talk about it. Maybe you procrastinate on financial decisions. So maybe facing your finances feels overwhelming and triggers anxiety. And if so, then this could be the pattern that you're experiencing. And you also have to ask yourself, on the flip side, if you're someone who has sales conversations and talks to people about money or needs to talk to people about money, and yet you're avoiding it, what is the belief system that you currently have around it? Is it that it's wrong to talk about money? It's not appropriate. You don't want to pry. It's too personal. What is it that's coming up for you? So I like to look at it from both sides of the equation. All right, archetype 4 is the receiving block. So the receiving block is characterized by discomfort with accepting money, help, or even compliments. So if you feel unworthy of receiving money or about being a burden, this might be something that resonates with you. It's the internal narrative that it's better to give than receive. So I've worked with a lot of coaches, consultants, mentors, people in service-based industries over the years, and this is a big one for people because they don't feel like they should be compensated for helping. It's that service piece where people feel like they should give for free, they should give out of, their own time and their own services, their own what's the word? Their own talents should be given for free. They shouldn't receive much. And if they do, it should just be little, kind of like a starving artist sort of a scenario. And so maybe you have an issue with receiving and it's really hard for you. And you've been taught to, if you're a female, be the good girl, be the giver, put everyone else first. And that is something that has kind of infiltrated into your career or your business or your life as a whole, and it's keeping you stuck. A lot of times, this will come up for people when they're worried about raising their prices. If they are a business owner, they don't feel like they're worthy of receiving it. And they feel like, again, it comes back as well to the hard work piece. Like, if I'm going to raise my prices, I've got to work even harder. And so there's this whole cycle of all these different money types and archetypes that are running the show again and keeping you stuck. Okay. So maybe you resonate with that one. Archetype number 5 is the worthiness wound. So I kind of already mentioned that a little bit ago. And this is really related to not believing that you are enough or not deserving of wealth. So oftentimes this stems from previous generations where there was a belief system that the family wasn't worthy of wealth, or maybe there's even a belief system that if you have a lot of money, that means you're greedy. There's a negative connotation around money, and you don't believe that you have the ability to make it, and you're also not worthy of it. So maybe you weren't born into a wealthy family, you weren't born into money, and so it feels like there's a disconnect there. Now, this one, all of these really are also rooted in some fear of loss. So oftentimes people feel like they're not worthy, and if they do make money, then what is their family going to think? right? They're going to be different to their family. And so they're not going to be loved. And that's really what it comes down to is we have this fear of loss if the money comes our way. And I've had this come up for me as well. There have been times where I thought to myself, okay, well, if I make this amount of money, what is my family going to think about me? Although I grew up, with a lot of abundance and my parents are both really successful and happy and amazing, there's still a whole nother level that I want for myself. And so what is that going to mean in relationship? How are people going to view me? What is that going to look like from the outside looking in? Okay. And so maybe this is coming up for you. You don't know if you are worthy. Again, someday maybe you're raising your prices and you don't feel worthy of receiving that amount of money. That's a really big piece of the puzzle for a lot of people. Sometimes people want to purchase a beautiful home, or they want to take the trip. They want to fly first class. They want to buy a certain type of clothes, but they feel strange in that. And now I'm not saying to do something that isn't actually aligned with what you want. But if there's a desire there and yet there's a mismatch and you don't feel worthy, then that's something to definitely look into. Okay. Archetype number 6 is the expansion edge. So I put this one in here because I do work with a variety of different clients. Some are, brand new to business. Some aren't in business at all. Some people are multi 7-figure business owners. And so there's a huge sort of range there. And some people are really successful financially and they want to go to the next level and they're on, the edge of the expansion that they are craving. And so this is often a place where people kind of feel like, hey, I've achieved so much. And is there really another level? Or can I really get to the next level? Sometimes people will, again, have met so many different goals, but still have this belief system of, but can I go to the next level? Can I do the next thing? Is it safe for me to set goals that are even loftier than what I already achieved? And sometimes people also get to a certain level and realize, actually, I'm not happy. I'm super busy right now. I never see my family. And so now I'm even more worried about achieving success or the next level because I'm worried that things are going to be even more stressful or hectic or chaotic. Okay. So maybe you're like in that place where you want to expand, but you feel a bit of resistance. Maybe you have the fear of outshining others to an even greater degree, imposter syndrome, anxiety around maintaining success. A lot of people have this where they've achieved a lot, but then they're like, oh my gosh, but what if I make the money and then I lose it? Right? Or what if everything goes away tomorrow? I know that for me, one of the things that came up when I did this plant medicine ceremony was this example of this real life example of this woman who I'd followed for a long time. And she has this like horrific story of she was drinking and hit what was a woman on the side of the road changing a tire or looking at something on her car and killed her. And this story like really affected me because I was like, oh my goodness, how quickly can life change? I'm not somebody who drinks and drives, but at the same time, like it was just such a split second decision that she made that literally changed her whole life. And now she's in prison and it's just horrific. She's a single mom. Some of you might know who I'm speaking about. And it came up for me when I was doing this journey because it was something that was such a reminder of like the how we could lose something, in any given moment. And obviously we all want to make decisions that don't create that in our life, right? I'm not going to go and make similar decisions to what she made, but it could even be something that's completely out of our control that occurs. And then, things change. Think about COVID. How many businesses were lost or had to pivot in a drastic way because of something that was completely out of our control? And, yeah, so it's just interesting to think about, those times where we feel like, oh my gosh, this could be lost at any moment, and to bring yourself back to an abundant frame of mind. And this is what it all comes down to is like, how can you recognize that you have these blocks or these archetypes or these ways of thinking, but still bring yourself back to an abundant way of thinking? That's really what this is all about. So, for example, just starting to shift the hard work wound and recognize that actually there's more than enough time and I'm going to achieve everything that I desire. All that I desire is on its way to me. I just need to show up and be my best self. I don't need to hustle. I don't need to grind. I don't need to go into anxiety, or it's safe to talk about money. It's safe to look at my bank account, or it's safe to receive, or I am worthy, or it's safe to go to the next level, and just shifting into that abundant frame of mind versus that fear. Okay. So, which of these patterns feels like a mirror? I want you to really think about that for yourself. So, scarcity belief, hard work wound, avoidance pattern, receiving block, the worthiness wound, the expansion edge. Which one are you at? And if you don't know, go ahead and take the quiz, iheartmylife.com/money-quiz, and you can find out exactly which one is aligned for you right now. And of course, we're also going to help you shift it. So I'm actually hosting a money challenge, which is happening starting May 19th to the 23rd. And this is going to be a live 5-day experience where I'm going to support you in even further uncovering your money blocks and, of course, also starting to transform them so that you can start to attract wealth. And I didn't yet mention this, but one of the reasons why this is so important, why we want to start to shift these limiting beliefs and these blocks, is because we want to be an energetic match for the next level of abundance that we are craving. And right now, it's like, when you're out on a date, you are not exactly going to be attracted to the person who is down in the dumps, who is negative, who is criticizing every little thing, who isn't listening to you, who is just talking to themselves. It's not talking about themselves. It's not an energetic match. And so we want to think about you being an energetic match to money. And if all of this stuff, all this fear, all this anxiety, all these negative beliefs are running the show and taking over, then you are not an energetic match for the abundance that you are craving. Okay. And so this challenge is all about helping you start to shift. So if you go to iheartmylife.com/money challenge, so money hyphen challenge, you'll be able to sign up for the challenge. It's completely free. And every single day for 5 days, I'm going to be sharing a training with you. You're going to have some journaling prompts, some mindset mantras that you can use to start to shift and just start thinking about life and money and receiving and abundance and success in a whole different way. And for many of you who are listening to this, you haven't yet done money mindset work. So this is the perfect place to start. But even if you have done the courses or read the books, please join us because it's going to be really incredible and it's going to be really easy to implement, but also include some incredible shifts that are going to change the game for you. Okay. My goal is for you to start manifesting more money literally that week and for you to see how easy this can be just by some simple tweaks. You do not have to stay stuck in the place of these archetypes and these blocks. We can move through them and I can show you how. And this is really important because with every level, there's going to be another block. There's going to be something that comes up. You're going to see something that's revealed to you that you get to shift. And that's a really good thing. I've been talking a lot about David Guillaume. He is the co-founder of Mary Ruth Organics, which is a billion-dollar brand. And he's also a spiritual teacher. He's a practitioner of Kabbalah. He talks a lot about abundance and manifesting. And one of the things he talks about is when you are looking to receive more, you literally need to ask to be shown what your limiting beliefs are, because that is impacting you and your vessel, as he calls it, your capacity to receive, as I call it. And that's what these blocks are. So if you are uncovering them right now on this episode, that's something to celebrate because that means that you're being shown what's impacting your next level of success. You're being shown what needs to be transformed in order for you to have a greater capacity to receive. So join us on the money challenge. We'll go even deeper with this. iheartmylife.com/money-challenge and sign up today. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to go through all the content with you and support you. It's also in our live circle group, which is our community for all of our incredible students. Would love for you to join us in there. So I hope you love this episode. Share it with somebody who might need it. I really appreciate it. Follow this podcast as well. It really helps us, whether you're on Spotify or iTunes or watching on YouTube. I really appreciate you. And I'll look forward to talking to you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to the I Heart My Life show. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with 3 friends or post about it on social media using the hashtag I Heart My Life show. And don't forget to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. It really does help us spread the movement far and wide. Remember, everything you desire is possible. Keep believing in your dreams and taking action.